What's going on, fam? I'm Josh, you can call me Anoriand, and today we're going to be doing a full breakdown of Tactics Ogre Reborn, the latest release of the strategy classic. Before I begin, as always, let me disclose that I was provided an early access code to the game, but no other payment was given and all views and thoughts are my own. Additionally, I was provided a code for the PlayStation 5 version of the game, so all footage will reflect that fact. Now that that's over with, let's march. Tactics Ogre Reborn is, as I said, a remake, specifically the latest remake of Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together, which first released for the Super Famicom, the Japanese equivalent of the Super Nintendo, for those who don't know, in 1995, then re-released in Japan on the Saturn in 1997, and then on the PlayStation in 1998, which was the first version to release here in the West, where it remained a small release cult hit until its PSP re-release in 2010, giving it a bit more acclaim. The first game in the Ogre series, which spans 2 Tactics Ogre games and 2 Ogre Battle games, it's one of the first great strategy RPGs outside of the original Fire Emblem, and is also genuinely considered one of the best in the genre. Given I did a Chapter 1 preview video on this already, and I'll go ahead and throw a link in the description and a card in the top right, so you can check that out if you haven't yet. This review is going to do a quick overview of the story basics, but will focus more on the game's quality, the many differences in this version, and my overall impressions having had nearly a month with it. Also, as a warning, I will reveal an early spoiler because it is so integral to discussing the story of the game, the one I hinted at in the other video. So if you want to avoid that, I'll be getting into the story first and put a timestamp in the description as well that you can click to in order to skip right by story bits and go to everything else. I'll also be throwing the actual timestamp on the screen so that you can just, drag to that. Okay, so as far as the story, you play Denim Pavel, a young Wallister warrior fighting to free his people in the war-torn lands of Valyria. Alongside his sister Kashua and his childhood friend Vice, Denim becomes the hero figure of his people and fights on behalf of their leader Duke Ronway, but eventually you make a major choice. Do you choose to kill innocents to rile up an army, citing the needs of the many, or do you refuse that duty despite the fact it may stop you from saving everyone? This central conflict is one of the major defining points of Tactics Ogre. The choice doesn't just change a character recruitment or something simple like that, it starts a branching path that changes the entire story from that point forward. Choose to follow the Duke, and you end up on the law path as you followed your orders. Choose to refuse those orders and protect the people as you can, and you go down the chaos path. This singular choice provides 2 entire playthroughs on its own. But as you continue, you even have the chance to break off of either to embark on a third neutral route, depending on your choices, with each having wildly different ramifications in terms of the story, the recruitable characters, and the missions you embark on. You want to recruit Sistina the Valkyrie? Well, you'll need to be on the Chaos route. Zapan the Berserker? Oh, that's the Law route. The thing is, though, you aren't forced down one road forever. Eventually, you unlock the World Tarot, essentially New Game Plus, which lets you go back to previous points in the story and replay them, unlocking the different routes and characters while in the same file. This gives immense replayability to the game and a ton of time for your value. And that's without even getting into the post-game content. The story is incredible overall, and I won't spoil all of the choices that go forward and the moments in it, other than to say it still holds up as one of the finest examples of storytelling in gaming, and together with the incredible voice acting for every character and every scene and line, which has all been voiced whether in or out of battle, outside of incidental little spellcasting quotes, the game is a joy to replay and experience, whether it's your first time or your 10th. Graphically, the game looks as good and as smooth as it ever has. Playing on, say, an OLED Switch might make everything look a bit crispier in terms of the sprites because they're condensed, but even with the sprites stretched to their maximum on my TV, they all look gorgeous. The spellcast effects all look clean and have pop. The sound design for everything is superb and very telling, allowing you to get instant feedback. The UI is also the cleanest it has ever been, with every screen feeling so smooth and so much easier and faster to go through as you move along. The character art is full of life, redone for the game, and the effort was well worth it with everything being so vibrant and detailed and stylistic. You can waste plenty of time just staring at everyone's pictures and feel great about having wasted that time. I spent so much reading every last person's entry in the Warren Report, the in-game information repository, and I don't feel like any of it was actually wasted. just spent. I can't stress enough that while it definitely still feels like classic Tactics Ogre, it looks absolutely beautiful, even in this form, and Square perfectly managed to walk the line between classic aesthetic and modern graphical appeal. I'll also add, in the PS5's favor, save times and load times are basically non-existent, and everything pops up almost instantly at every transition, which helps with the pace of the whole game. The big question, above it all, is how is this version different from previous releases? Whether it's all better, and whether it's worth your time if you've played it before. And to remain completely objective, my answers are a ton, hell yes, and immediately, if not sooner. The simple changes are things like UI and design changes, making everything feel clean and easy to navigate, as well as simple additions like a tracking arc for ranged attacks, letting you know when an attack will hit based on the arc you're shooting at, which is especially useful for bow users who can actually shoot outside of their listed range. Little things like that. But then we get to some of the biggest and most impactful ones. Things like a character-based experience system instead of class-based, no random battles, redone AI, and a total revamp of the skill system. You see, originally in Tactics Ogre, characters themselves didn't have levels. When you went into a battle, you'd get experience at the end and it would be divided to every class you had in the fight. So divided between, say, 2 warriors, 2 archers, a wizard, and a priest. And in that case, the warriors and archers would end up leveling up faster than the wizard and the priest, which in and of itself is already an issue, but it also meant that when you defeated enemies with new classes and you picked up their class marks so you could change into them, your immediate thought was, hey, a new class! But I gotta start back at level 1 again. Is this worth it? Nope. All that's gone now. Now characters themselves level up, so you can freely change classes whenever you like, so long as you get a class mark. I picked up a Dragoon class marks, took Aricel the Archer, changed her, and boom. The only thing I lost out on is I switched over to crossbows instead of regular bows. That was a personal choice I made, though. But it's not like she became useless. I took one fight to level up that skill, and boom, she was caught right up. Now to balance all this, you do have a level cap in place based on whatever point in the game you are, and everyone will be capped at that level until you get a little further in the story, which gives you an idea of what level you should be at for any given section. Now, given there aren't any tricks like making everyone one class to stack levels, you might wonder, like, is it hard to stay leveled, or does this create issues? And you might need to level some new recruits or skills once or twice at random while you're going along, but random battles are also now gone. You won't waste time because you decided to cross the map in order to try and check something out ever again. Instead, any town with a shop also has a training option, allowing you to level up your team quickly, easily, and efficiently if you need, and it costs nothing to use. This may lead you to wonder, well, are the fights still difficult? Like, did they tone everything down? And my answer there is yes and no. I feel many of the fights are still just as trying, especially if you take on some of them right away, such as the battle at the Fortress of Quadriga, but it's in a fair way. I have yet to go into a battle at an appropriate level and feel outgunned. Rather, maybe that I just made some bonehead choices at one point or another. The AI is far better stacked to fight optimally, but not necessarily cruelly. A perfect example of this is the first fight with Sistina at the Archaeopolis of Rhyme. This fight has classically been the bane of many players because you have to make the choice of whether or not you want to try and protect Sistina, but in the past, choosing that almost always meant she got mass targeted and killed before you could do anything. And the only solution was to take Canopus, because he was fast and could fly, strip him down into his skivvies, and send him flying at her so that he looked like a good target and could take hits. Now, most of the enemies in that fight charge at you naturally. You have plenty of time to get a healer her way, and you can fight everyone kind of normally without worrying about her dying solo. It's a more fair fight and experience based on what you have available to you. And then, like I said, there's the skill system. Now, you have 4 skill slots, 4 spell slots, and then your finisher move slots. That's it. You have to be far more focused in your builds and far more creative, which keeps every character feeling like they have an individual purpose. On top of all of this, they used to have 3 resources: HP, MP, and TP. And now, they got rid of TP. You just have HP and MP. Every type of skill or finisher or anything else runs off of MP. And it's awesome. It's rebalanced fully. The way MP is gathered makes a lot more sense, and I can genuinely say that there were very few turns my characters couldn't do anything, and they were the exception, not the rule. All the balancing and tweaks and changes have taken an excellent story that sometimes felt like a chore and made it into one of the best and finest tuned strategy games I have ever touched. So what's the final verdict? Well, this game freaking rules. Like, I know it's a remake, so it's hard to justify getting super excited over it, but this is a game you could previously only play in English in clunky form on a PS1 disc, or in a slightly better form, but on a PSP. It's easily the definitive way to play a classic that literally every strategy RPG fan should play, and it sets the standard for what a classic remake can and should be, with just enough appeasement of the classic aesthetic to feel familiar, but all the elbow grease put in to make it play and feel fully modern. What I'm about to say will feel like hyperbole, but given the original game and the quality of this remake, I stand behind it wholeheartedly. Tactics Ogre Reborn gets a 10 out of 10. It is not just everything I hoped for in a remake, it's more. And I plan to put a lot of hours into this journey as I play every last route and get every last thing I can, and it's going to be worth every single minute. Until next time, my name's Josh, you can call me Anoriand, and I'll see you on the other side of the battlefield. Hey! Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Like what you saw? Please hit that like button and leave a comment with your thoughts, because I genuinely do enjoy the discussion, and hit that subscribe button to catch up on all the new stuff I got coming. I got a playlist for the Final Fantasy Tactics-based actual play I've been running called A Tale of Two Lions, if that's your shtick. We've got some other game reviews, we got some Let's Plays, a little something for everyone, so stick around for it. I'm Josh, you can call me Anoriand, and I'll catch you next time.